I made a video a couple days ago where I was basically discussing on how people need to stay lonely. And more specifically, I was talking about men. And even more specifically, I was talking about in regards to a romantic relationship. And that's a can of worms to get into. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure to check it out. But today I want to branch off of that and I just want to explain why these hoes are trifling, man. And first, I want to start with a story, bro. I want to start with a good story of my own experience dealing with one of the women of this generation. And if you're not a stranger to the dating world in today's society, then you understand that a lot of these women, probably 99.9% of them who are between the ages of like 18 to like 30, have just the most ridiculous, just like unrealistic expectations for a man. And even in that last video, I was talking about how a lot of these girls want wife treatment, but they don't act like a wife. And so I want to share a story, bro, because this is exactly what I'm talking about, and then I'll branch off of that. Because, I don't know, did you ever wish when you were a kid, did you ever wish that you could have the power of invisibility? Like, you would see it in superhero shows, and you would see it on cartoons or whatever, right? And, like, people could do whatever they wanted, and they could just feel untouched. They didn't have to worry with socializing or worry about being seen, and they could just act upon whatever they wanted without any sort of consequence. Well, let me tell you, that's exactly the experience of being a freshman in high school, bro. You were just genuinely invisible. Like, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares what's going on with you, right? And so you're already feeling like, a little alienated at that time. I feel like this is a common experience among all people. You're just starting off in high school, you're starting fresh, you gotta meet new friends, new teachers, new school, it's a pretty just crazy experience. Well, on top of that, bro, imagine having to deal with one of these trifling ass girls. It is just like horrible for your fucking mindset to even try these days. It's so crazy. So here's what happened for me, right? So, I had a class, it was like my math class or something, and nobody talked to me in there. Nobody really cared about me. The teacher didn't even call on me or nothing because she knew I just like didn't give a fuck. But like either way, right? Like the first like 2 months in this class, I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't even talk to the teacher, bro. I would just sit there and I would just walk up, turn in my worksheet, and leave the class. And so then one day we get partnered up to do this worksheet together, and it's like this partner math. I don't know, bro. I don't remember shit from math. And that's crazy, bro, because I'm over here doing crypto and stocks right now, so that's insane. And that's probably a bit of a lie. I do remember a lot of it, but at the time I didn't really care. I didn't apply myself, so I really don't know what we were doing exactly. But that's not important. Let me just get to the point. So we got partnered up, and I got partnered up with this girl, and I actually had a crush on this girl in middle school, bro, and elementary. Like I had a crush on this girl for years, bro, and I was just like shaking, bro, like knees weak, arms a heavy, mom spaghetti ass nervousness, bro. Like I was tripping. But she ended up being cool. Like she ended up being chill, right? And so you're probably asking yourself, what does that have to do with girls tripping in this generation? You met a nice girl, right? No. That was the front, bro. That was the front. Let me just let me advance in the story, right? So I should have known from the jump that something was up, right? Cause she had a boyfriend when I met her, right? But she would call me and talk to me all the time, and then she's like, "But I can't really date anybody because I got a boyfriend right now. But I got a crush on you, but this, that, and the other." And little old me, little 14-year-old me, I was thinking with my little head, not my big head, right? So I was just like, I was cool with that. I was going to rock out until he left, and I was going to take his bitch. Well, that happened. But I would say that in this story, the only person who got off scot-free with zero consequences, and honestly, probably for the better, was that guy, bro. He ended up taking the W home for this one. Because this girl was crazy, bro. Straight insane, like out of the psych ward. Through different conversations, she told me about how she wanted to, like, I don't know, like, she wanted to have, like, 6 kids. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. She wanted me to work, like, 2 jobs and, like, provide for her and the children and, like, all this crazy-ass shit. And I was like, bro, what? We only dated for 6 months, so, she was saying this shit by month 2. And I was like, yo, you are trifling. What are you talking about? And she's like, well, if you don't do all that for me, and if that's not how it is, I'm gonna break up with you, bro. I was just like, gang, what? Now, Shawty ended up cheating on me because I started voicing my concerns, bro. I started being like, nah, bro, like, you're just straight tripping, bro. And then she cheated on me, bro, and that's a whole other video's worth of shit to talk about, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that this girl, even when I was 14, just had these insane expectations after 2 months of dating, and she wanted me to provide for her and this and that, and it low key grossed me out, scared me away. But like, at the time I was a little scared to break up with her and shit. You know what I mean? Because I did like her, but like, I didn't like all that, and I was just being a pussy. But it's just kind of like, who programmed that into her brain? Who put that in her brain? Like, who did that? You know what I mean? And I puzzled that for a while. I questioned that. I was like, why did she end up being like this? Like, why wasn't she just normal, wanting to be a hardworking person like everybody else? And then I realized it wasn't her fault, bro. It was all of the adult women in her life. It was all of the people before her. It was all these influencers on social media. And then that was when I started to gain a straight up awareness on this situation. So that's when I decided I was going to crack open my Psychology 101 for Dummies book. And below and behold, a lot of these human behaviors, they're really just sociologically learned behaviors. This just comes through conditioning. A lot of these girls of this generation, they don't even realize it, but their entire life it's been taught to them. And you know what I really put two and two together on is, what did girls watch growing up? They always loved to watch those princess movies, right? A lot of little girls watch that. And you think about it, right? You think about it. The king orders the military around, right? He tells the soldiers to go to war. He tells them what to do. He runs the village and makes all the executive decisions. What does the queen do? She doesn't do jack shit, bro. She sits around the castle and all she does is just enjoy the luxurious life that she's getting there. What does she go to the garden, the beautiful garden? She gets to eat good roasted chickens and stuff, but that's pretty much all she does. And I can't fully blame females for that, you know what I mean? Due to like male hierarchy and stuff. Yeah, bro, I'm not one of those fucking Trump loving fucking redneck dudes that's like gonna sit here and be like, oh, it's all women's fault. Yeah, no, like I totally understand male hierarchy and all that, but I feel like this pattern with women, right? This should have been something broken a long time ago. The cycle should have stopped, right? But the problem is that each generation, bro, these mothers are telling their daughters, they're like, you deserve to be treated like a queen, this and that, and you deserve all sorts of princess treatment. You deserve only the best. Which, look, bro, like, I agree. Protect your women, right? Because I wouldn't want somebody treating my sister or my mother like they're a can of garbage, right? But if my mom and my sister were at the club shaking ass, just getting drunk, not doing anything with their life, don't even got a job or nothing, oh, you best believe I'm gonna tell them they're a fucking bum. Like, they don't expect nothing, bro. I come from a very hardworking family, and that's why I'm talking about this, because I see that a lot of these girls are not hardworking individuals. And through societal programming, I feel like they've all been trained to think that, they deserve more, they deserve better, and that men should do it all for them, and that they're owed it, you know what I mean? Due to the long, extensive history of men being misogynistic, which, I feel like, yeah, they definitely deserve a little bit of restitution for what happened, right? But the whole thing is like, no, no, I don't owe you anything. Just because other people's actions cause consequences for you does not mean that I should have to serve consequences for their actions. That's not how that works. I don't owe anybody anything, and none of these guys do. None of you guys do. That's the thing. Is, have you ever felt like in your life that like you just felt like women always acted like, you owed them something, like you just owed them courtesy and respect, like as if that's not earned? And that just really segues into shawty's just like playing hard to get. And it's like, bro, I'm not gonna grind my ass off to pursue something with you if all you do is get drunk, go to the club, pass out, just hang out with your homegirls, work one day a week, if any. You know what I mean? Like, I don't pay no bills, still live at your mom's house. Like, why am I chasing you? I don't need to chase you. You don't have anything to offer to me. Like, honestly, this is a huge problem with a lot of the women of this generation is they're just lazy. They're straight up lazy and they don't want to do anything. I don't know, where the line got misconstrued, you know what I mean? And I understand that the old way was that the men would work, but it's a different world now, bro. It's a different world, and it's a lot tougher to be alive now than it was back in the 50s when, houses cost the same as it costs to get a donut from the gas station nowadays. The old ways are gone, and we just need to adapt to the new societal norms. And I hate to say it, right? Because, there's some guys out there that do that for their lady, right? You provide for your woman, and you do right by her, and that's fine, right? Like, I'm not trying to hate on you. I'm not trying to hate on you women who are stay-at-home moms. I got all love for you. But I am saying that if you just expect that off the jump, You know what I mean? Like guys like me and a lot of guys in the current climate, we're not gonna respect you, bro. We're not gonna want you. We're not gonna chase you. Like we want hardworking women, bro. What happened to that? You know, a lot of you girls want to use these excuses to do whatever you want, and that's where I'm gonna get to next. You know, you use the whole excuse of, oh well, I'm a girl, just so you can either get your way or when it comes to not wanting to do something, you'll just use that excuse or be like, oh, it's because I'm a girl. That's why I can't do something. When there are so many women throughout history who fought so hard for your independence away from the shackles of men, and yet you're acting like this. And now you act like it's a surprise because I have standards and I don't want some lazy fat woman who does nothing but scroll TikTok all day. And like getting back to how they just kind of want us to serve consequences for the actions of other people in history, like that's such a huge issue. I don't think they really understand or put it through their brain that we had nothing to do with that, and yet for some reason we're hated on and we're all just told that we're basically just misogynistic even when we do absolutely nothing to them, or if we just do something that they disagree with. And I don't want to sit here and sound misogynistic. I don't want to start some sort of gender war or whatever, right? And I don't have the influence to even do that anyways, but I don't want to come off as a woman hater because, I love the women in my life. I love my mother dearly. I love my sisters. I love my girlfriend. Like, those are very important, crucial people in my life. But the only thing about those people is that they've been structured around a hardworking mindset, right? You know what I mean? Like my mom, she's got 4 kids, 5 kids, whatever, a million kids, and she's had to work her ass off her entire life just to keep everybody afloat. And my sisters, like, they always worked hard, whether it be jobs, school, whatever. And then my girlfriend, like, bless her heart, she's the best thing in my entire life. I chose her just based off of how she is a genuine person with a genuine mind, and she works so hard for anything that she wants, and I admire her so much for that. It is just impossible to find people without goals and aspirations and work ethic in today's climate. And you don't need to settle for this type of shawty, bro. Like, you don't gotta settle for that. There's so many better options out there. And there's, tons of women out there who have so much to offer to you. It's just you gotta go find the right ones. You need to get off of Instagram. You need to get off of TikTok. You need to get off of Tinder, bro. You need to go outside and find women in the real world, because women in the real world, bro, they're not stuck on the phone, bro. They have a mind, bro. They're out there working hard and they're experiencing things. And through experience, real world experience, you gain real world expectations. And that's what it boils down to, is that a lot of these shawties, they never had a job. They barely went to school or cared about school. They just, made TikToks all day. They didn't do anything, right? They just believed what they were told through social media, which is not real world expectation. But then when you find women who are unplugged, out there working hard, they go out to social events that aren't just getting drunk as shit at the club. Like I say that a lot, but you know what? That's like the main thing that these girls promote on the gram. And when you find these women who are actually going to real social events that have something to offer to them with their friends and their family, and they're out, maybe even at a library, or they're out there, just doing anything productive, right? Like, you'll find women like that. But the first step is to eliminate the ones who aren't going to be out there doing anything productive, and you'll be able to squeeze them out real fast if you get off of the phone and unplug. And that's no bullshit, bro. I'm keeping that so real. I mean, my girlfriend, right? Like, she's got TikTok, she's got an Instagram, but she don't sit on it all day, right? She don't just sit there and doom scroll reels. I mean, I'd be lying if I said she didn't sometimes, right? But like, we go out, right? And I met her at a concert. I didn't even meet her through a dating app. I didn't meet her through the internet. I met her in real life. I just pulled up to my homie's crib and she was friends with his girlfriend, and that was how I met her. And that night, bro, we just hit it off, and it was amazing, bro. It was surreal. Like, I didn't meet her through Snapchat or anything, Honestly, bro, if you're a grown man with Snapchat in today's, climate, bro, like, I guess all the love to you, but like, delete that shit, bro. You're not 12 no more. It's there's something rewarding as well about meeting genuine good women outside. Like, there's just something that feels so rewarding about that. And I'll tell you, bro, we've been together for almost a year, bro, and it's been nothing but just love, bro. We've never had an argument. You know, we've had a couple of scraps here and there where we disagreed about something, but we never had a full on argument. You know what I mean? I've never called her names. I never cussed her out. I never put a hand on her. I never did none of that shit, right? I mean, if you're out here putting your hands on women, bro, like, yeah, maybe you just don't need, you need to just get off this video and you need to go find one of those trifling hoes because those are the ones that like to be hit. But, what I'm trying to say here is that I found a good girl, bro. All because I just went outside and got some real life experiences. And in a real world situation, I met a real genuine girl who actually does real genuine shit. And so, therefore, she has the mindset and the focus of a real genuine person. And I think that's where a lot of these problems stem for, too, is that a lot of you women just don't have focus. And a lot of these guys who get with women like this, they also have very limited focus. Like, you don't ever just concentrate on the good things, right? You're just thinking with your dick, you know what I mean? You're just thinking about the next thing to keep you entertained. Because when you have that tic-tac mindset, that brain of a goldfish, I don't know if you guys have heard that expression, but or not even expression, it's like a study, and they were saying that humans now are getting a smaller attention span than a goldfish. But when you have that sort of mindset, right? Like, you're just looking for the next thing to entertain you, and you're not locking in to real things happening and bettering yourself, because you're just looking for constant entertainment and something to keep you busy. And that's a big problem where this all comes from. Like, honestly, it sounds crazy. It sounds like, that's a weird correlation, but it's true. When you don't have focus, you know what I mean? You're just going to be looking for the next thing to keep you occupied, and you're not going to be, genuinely searching for things that are actually going to be good for you. Like, it's just like the internet, right? You know what I mean? You're watching this video, and if you made it from 0,000 all the way to where we're at right now, then I congratulate you, right? It takes a lot of focus nowadays for the human brain to just lock in and watch a video for that long. That really does take a lot of focus, and that's crazy because with short form content, that's completely obliterated what the human mind used to be able to do. However, you're not completely doomed, you know what I mean? And you have options to get out of that and to gain your focus back. And for you shawties, if these women are watching this, I want to kind of share something with you. The way that you're going about things with yourself, bro, it's just completely just ugh. That's the best way for me to put it. It's just like, you have a TikTok brain, right? All you do is get your influence from the next 10-second video, and then you live with the fad for a day or two, and then you move on to the next thing that blows up on TikTok. That's all this is. And with focus, it isn't just having a short attention span. It's just having a good mindset, going towards one goal at a time, going towards something productive for you and bettering yourself, right? Because I noticed that a lot of these shawties that I had experiences with, they don't got a car, they don't got a job, they don't pay no bills or nothing, but for some reason, they always got some weed on them, and they always got their phone bill paid for so they can watch some social media videos. And that's where the lack of focus came in, right? Because with that, you have the smaller attention span, and the human brain was not built for that. You think about, the cavemen. Well, the cavemen, bro, let's just start with that, right? They would go out and they would hunt for their food. They had one goal, and that was the one thing that they would focus on. And that was all they would do all day. And then they would bring it home, and their cave woman would, like, I guess make it, or maybe they would make it for themselves. I don't really know. I wasn't there, right? But that's generally what they say, right? They say that they would just go out, hunt food, gather supplies, go home, and then apply it. And that was all they had to do. And then afterwards, what was there to do? Just sit there, right? Just sit there and wait for the next day until the sun comes up. So historically, like, your brain is just not wired for that. It's not wired to gather insane amounts of, information in a fast, steady, not even steady, a very unsettling rate. It's a very fast, quick-paced rate where you are just getting this constant feed of information. And so your brain can never take the time to relax. And I want to tell you guys a bit of a story. It's a short one, right? But I had this therapist when I was in high school, and she told me that rest is the most important thing for me. And I didn't understand that at the time, right? I didn't understand when she first told me. But then I started to put two and two together. And 2 years later, here I am, bro. And that information has applied to me so well, right? Because I've understood the power of rest. Resting doesn't have to be just you sitting there being lazy, right? But when you rest, what I mean is instead of sitting there and feeding your brain a million things and making it overwork, it's good for your brain to maybe just, I don't know, read a book, or, just sit there and play an instrument or something. Just focus, put your focus on one thing at a time. And this is just common knowledge, right? This is just something that you should know. This is something that a lot of researchers have already put out. A lot of people have spoken on this. Like, this is nothing new at all, but this is something that I'm sharing because I feel like this might pass on and help somebody. Like, you need that rest, bro. And that, maybe even just take a nap, you know what I mean? But your brain is not built to function like that. Like, somebody, let's just say you have a scenario where you're playing a video game, you got a YouTube video in the background, and you got a speaker playing some music. Like, that's three things going on at once that your brain is trying to keep track of, and it is being overworked. And that's where overstimulation comes from. And that's where you're just constantly stimming your brain, but you're not giving it time to just chill out and process what you've been doing or what you've been thinking about. And that's just bad for you. And then at the end of the day, you'll retain none of it. You won't retain any of it because your brain will feel overworked and overstimulated, and it will not have the proper conditions to withhold any of the information from the day. And that's why a lot of people, if you ask a lot of people what they saw on TikTok yesterday, they really cannot tell you. They really won't be able to. In fact, if you're a viewer right now watching this, I want you to think about, what videos did you watch on TikTok yesterday? Tell me at least, if you watched at least 10 videos, what were those 10 videos about? I guarantee you that you can't, bro, because you just had a constant stream of information just like completely decimating your brain cells. And where all this comes from is, what I'm saying is, a lot of these shawties, that's a big problem for them, right? That's why I say they're trifling. That's why I say that they have a lot of problems going on, because they have no focus. And it's a big result from their lifestyle and how they're going about things. And that's what's causing them to lash out with these crazy behaviors. And that's what's causing them to have this sense of entitlement and not want to do anything, because they really they've lost focus completely, and there's very, very little chance of saving them. But I don't want you guys to think that I'm saying all women are bad or that you'll never find a good girl, because there's plenty of them out there, and there's a ton of amazing women that will do amazing things for you and for the world. It's just about dropping these low rate, dumbass, no brain cell, TikTok brain, goldfish brain shawties. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say for today. I'm gonna try to focus the next videos to be a little further away from this topic, because I don't want to go into too much of it, and I don't want people to think that I'm some sort of misogynist. I got all the love for the women. If you're a woman and you watch this video all the way through, like, thank you, bro. And you are not you're not part of that low focus group, right? Because you sat here and watched a 20 something minute video. Like, you got some focus on you. But, I just want to say I appreciate you guys who are watching this, whether you're one of the men or the women. I hope that some of this has helped you a little bit with advice. I do want to say, like, my last notes are that, you should just try to really gain some more focus this week. Maybe try going on a walk. Maybe try, just playing an instrument, or, yeah, just reading a book, going on a walk, playing an instrument, just doing something that is going to just make you focus on one task. Maybe even just playing the game. Don't play any music in the background. Don't sit on your phone. Don't watch a YouTube video. Just play the game, right? Just put your focus all into one thing. And I guarantee you, by next week, you're going to feel a lot better, because you have been training your brain and giving it rest. So yeah, with that, that's pretty much all I got to say. I just want to say that, again, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.